I hate when people underestimate my fastness. I'm fast. I'm so fast, you couldn't even comprehend how fast I am.
Sonic the Hedgehog is a Japanese video game series and media franchise created by Yuji Naka, Naoto Oshima, and Hirokazu Yasuhara. The franchise follows Sonic, a blue hedgehog who battles the evil Dr. Eggman, a mad scientist. The main Sonic the Hedgehog games are platformers mostly developed by the Sonic team, other games developed by various studios, including spin-offs in the racing, fighting, party, and sports genres. By 1990, the Japanese video game company Sega wanted a foothold in the video game console market with its 16-bit console, the Sega Genesis. Sega's efforts have been stymied by the dominance of Nintendo. The Genesis did not have a large install base, and Nintendo did not take Sega seriously as a competitor. Sega of America CEO Michael Katz attempted to challenge Nintendo with the Genesis does what Nintendo don't marketing campaign, and by collaborating with athletes and celebrities to create games. These efforts did not break Nintendo's dominance, and Katz was replaced by Tom Kalinske, formerly of Mattel. Even after character attempt after character attempt, nothing seemed to work. Sega president Hayao Nakayama decided Sega needed a flagship series and a mascot to complete with Nintendo's Mario franchise. Nintendo has recently released Super Mario Bros. 3. At the time, the best-selling video game of all time. Sega's strategy has been on porting its successful arcade games to the Genesis. However, Nakayama recognized that Sega needed a star character in a game that could demonstrate the power of Genesis's hardware. An internal contest was held to determine a flagship game, with the focus of an American audience. Among the teams working on proposals were artists Naoto Oshima and programmer Yuji Naka. The gameplay of Sonic the Hedgehog originated with a tech demo created by Naka, who developed an algorithm who allowed it to move smoothly on a curve by determining its position with a dot matrix. Naka's prototype was a platform game that involved a fast-moving character rolling in a ball through a long winding tube. Sega management accepted the duo's project and they were joined by designer Hirokazu Yasuhara. After Yasuhara joined Naka and Oshima, their focus shifted to the protagonist, who Sega hoped could become its mascot. The protagonist was initially a rabbit able to grasp objects with prehensible ears, but the concept proved too complex for the hardware. The team moved on to animals that could roll into a ball, and eventually settled on Sonic, a teal hedgehog created by Oshima. Naka's prototype was expanded with Oshima's character design and levels were conceived by Yasuhara. Sonic's color was chosen to match Sega's cobalt blue logo, and his red and white shoes were inspired by the cover of Michael Jackson's 1987 album Bad. His personality was based on Bill Clinton's can-do attitude. The antagonist, Dr. Eggman, was another character Oshima had designed for the contest. The team thought the abandoned design was excellent and redesigned it as a villain. The team took the name Sonic Team for the game's release. Sonic's first appearance came in Sega's AM3's racing game Rad Mobile, 5 months before the release of Sonic the Hedgehog, as an ornament hanging from the driver's rearview mirror. The Sonic developers let AM3 use Sonic because they were interested in making him visible to the public. According to Mark Cerny, who worked in Tokyo as an intermediary between Japanese and American Sega offices, the American staff felt that Sonic had no appeal. Although Katz was certain that Sonic would not be popular with the American children, Kalinske arranged to play Sonic the Hedgehog at the packing game with the Genesis. Featuring speedy gameplay, Sonic the Hedgehog received critical acclaim. It greatly increased the popularity of the Sega Genesis in North America, crediting with helping Sega gain 65% of the market share against Nintendo. It started becoming more recognizable in the age of 6 to 11 more than Mickey Mouse. Even though games like Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and 3 were insanely rated and it looked like Super Mario had to fight for relevancy as the face of video games, as soon as Sonic rise, he had a tragic downfall. In the 90s and early 2000s, Sonic and Knuckles for the Sega Genesis, Sonic R for the Sega Saturn, and games like Sonic Advance and Sonic Rush are prime examples of games that not only the public loved, but also received multiple Game of the Year or runner-up awards. Even Nintendo launched themselves a successful gaming series collab called Mario and Sonic at the Winter and Olympic Games that is still played relatively much to this very day. But in 2006, Sega began to tally away from what the community wanted, and it slowly but surely turned into a snowball that would not stop. In 2006, Sega released Sonic Riders, which boils down to a racing game if everyone had a hoverboard from Back to the Future 2. While it did garner popular attention at first and relatively good ratings, the very core of the community was not big fans of the release. You had established companies like IGN and GameZone absolutely confused on why someone who was advertised as the fastest character ever to have a racing game. Yet it continued with games like Sonic Rivals 2 and Sonic Rivals Zero Gravity, each one getting a lower review than the last. And don't you dare make me talk about Sonic Free Riders. I endured enough playing that game as a kid, it was pure torture. While Sonic and the Secret Rings was a good title that a lot of people could get behind, the year right after spawned the biggest meme in Sega history.
Here we go! Woo!
Sonic Unleashed was one of the most disappointing games of all time in the Sonic franchise, housing glitch after glitch with underwhelming battle sequences. The average score across all major gaming sources was a measly 5.3 out of 10. Some even pointed to Sega trying to say that they were taking the foot off the gas and didn't care about the feature of our blue speedy main character. Some reviewers compared the warehouse sections to God of War. Complaint stems from the game's change of speed from high-speed daytime sections to a slower nighttime section. The pace-breaking combat levels were described as plodding as well as lethargic and combat-heavy. Further to the change of pace, the new style of gameplay that accompanies the night levels were widely criticized, involving frustrating platform elements and combat described as not terribly interesting and boring with awkward action sequences overall. Some reviewers felt that the Werehog as a concept did not mix well with the daylight areas in traditional Sonic gameplay. GamePro's review described them as dreadfully out of place, while IGN stated that they had nothing to do with Sonic whatsoever, feeling like the Werehog was being slapped onto the Sonic experience. In the end, Sega listened immensely to the feedback, producing games like Sonic Generations, Sonic Lost World, and Sonic Forces, bringing back the old gameplay that the fans loved from the beginning, and revitalizing the Sonic franchise on how Sega built his empire. The once broken reputation was repaired and Sega had saved themselves from pure destruction like many major companies faced with carelessness in previous years. Overall, Sega nailed it with creating Sonic the Hedgehog, as it is one of the best-selling video game franchises. The series' overall sales have reached over 140 million by 2016. The Mario and Sonic series alone sold over 19 million units as of 2011. The Sonic the Hedgehog games have grossed over $5 billion in sales by 2014. Series sales and free-to-play mobile games downloaded a total of 920 million units by 2019, and more than 1.14 billion units by 2020, and even over 1.6 billion units by 2023. In 1993, Sonic tied with Mario for the highest earning entertainment personality of the year, each generating 500 million, which in today's standards would be $1.1 billion in digital game sales that year. While the main goal was trying to dethrone Super Mario as the face of video games failed, they created something that millions upon millions of children would say that gave them nothing but fantastic memories to live by, including me. I loved the Olympic series and it was actually one of the first games I ever got on my first console, the Nintendo DS. In recent news, Sonic the Hedgehog has two movies that recently came out in 2020 and 2022. Both combined garnering $1.1 billion in revenue. It's nice to see such an iconic character have such a successful revival. In the end, that blue-haired hedgehog that loved chili dogs did one thing right. He brought the gaming community together really fast. In the end, when I was younger, I definitely was more of a Super Mario person myself, but I loved a bunch of the Sonic games when I was younger, and they gave me so many memories. But I just can't get over in 2007 where they dropped the ball so much that it got to the point where the entire community was about to leave, and then Sega responded in the best way a company could by rebounding and coming back. And that's why I love the Sonic series. It's one of those things where you want to root for the person that doesn't get as much recognition as possibly the biggest name in video game history, along with people like Pac-Man and the Pong Paddle. I don't fucking know. But even then, I just wanted to talk about the rise and almost potentially fall of one of the greatest gaming icons in gaming history, and I think we can all say that. But if you do like the video, make sure you like and subscribe and hit that bell. I've been gone for a little bit, but I'm trying to get back into YouTube, and there should be another video out between 1 and 2 weeks from now. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy, and I will see you guys later. Peace.